Welcome back to the 30-day coding challenge. Today is day 10 and we're going to be building this dictionary web app. If you're new here, hi, my name's Zoe. I'm a software engineer and former university professor that loves teaching folks how to code. If you're interested in learning how to code and possibly becoming a front-end engineer, check out that first link in the description below. But without further ado, let's hop into today's challenge. Alright, so as I said, we're going to be building just a dictionary web app. We're going to be using an API that's provided by Frontend Mentor. I'll get to that in a second. And basically what you should be able to do is to search the dictionary for whatever word you're looking for, and then you have, the word spelled out, the definition, possibly the audio as well, a whole bunch of different things like that. There are many different ways you can expand this project. You could change the different fonts, or you could do different dark mode versus light mode, and we'll see how much time we have and if we can get to all of those. But it's a project that allows you to really showcase a bunch of skills without using a very heavy design. So let's get started. All right, so I've gone ahead and started up the base app. This is just using the Material UI Next.js TypeScript starter that I have on my GitHub, again, linked down below. And then we're going to be using the dictionary web app project here from Frontend Mentor. So now this is one of the premium ones, so you do have to pay to get access to it. But if you are very serious about becoming a front-end developer and you can afford it, I definitely think it's worth paying for a subscription to this. This is what I used to actually build a lot of my portfolio projects when I was first applying to jobs. So would definitely recommend. So let's take a look at the API, because this is going to be using this API in order for us to actually query the dictionary. So it seems like we just query the dictionary with the word, and then this is the example, like if we search for the word hello, we get the word, we get the phonetic spelling, we get the audio, definition, origins. Okay, cool. Looks pretty straightforward, so let's go ahead and start building it out. Let's take a look at the design. So looks like we have a bit of a heading situation here. Then we have our search bar here, and then we have our actual definition there. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and start by creating a new folder called components. Components with an S. There we go. And then I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to call it nav. And I'm going to go ahead and drop that into our main page here. So I'm going to go ahead and drop that in here. Let's say nav. Oh, and there we go. Nav. Awesome. I'm also going to go ahead and change this box into a container from Material UI, just so I can actually utilize the max width property. And I'm going to go ahead and set it, I think, to either large or medium, to be honest. It's pretty slim. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And let's take a look at our page. It is complaining because this is not a client-side component. And I imported it incorrectly. All right, cool, perfect. The other thing I'm going to do is clear out my dark mode styles. Those come default when you start up with the base. And it looks pretty decent. I think I actually might want to change it to medium. It looks pretty slim on the design. That looks much better. All right, so we're going to go with medium for this. So first things first, let's create the nav. It's going to be really straightforward and simple because we're not doing a whole bunch of crazy styles. It looks like we have a dictionary icon here. So I'm going to actually borrow something from Material UI here and see if I can find something. Yeah, let's go with this library books one here. And I think we might need to download the Material UI icons package. Yeah, we need to download this, or install it, I should say. npm install. Okay, you know what? That's going to create a bunch of issues. Let's just ignore that for now. So we're just going to say, we're going to freestyle here. We're going to use the box, because really the point of this is not to get the best icon. The point is to work with the API, and I don't want to waste too much time working on that. We can always go back and fix it up later. So we'll have a box here, and we're going to have a typography element on one side, typography. And I'm going to say, we're just going to call it dictionary. And close that out. Oops. Oh. Good. And then we are going to have a secondary box here, and we're going to have font switcher with a little down arrow. And we're going to have, put this in a typography element. Oops. And then we'll have, I think it's actually called a switch from Material UI. Yeah, we'll just have a switch there. We'll save that. Yeah, and there's just a switch there. And I'll put dark mode. Oh, maybe it doesn't take children. Yeah, okay, so it'll just be just a switch. Maybe I'll put dark mode after it. Cool, looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and set the display of this to be flex, and we'll set this display to also be flex. And that looks pretty decent. We'll say align items in the center. Same thing here. Items in the center. And then we're going to say we want to justify the content, space between. And yeah, there we go. So we have a really quick font switcher. You can even do, you could say justify content, space between, just so they have a little bit of room. We'll say width. Oops. Maybe 20. Yeah, just to give it a little bit of space. And yeah, that's like sort of the basic nav. Nothing too fancy, nothing too crazy. We don't want to spend too much time sort of making this look too much like anything, because this is not the point of the project. All right, moving on. Let's work on our text box here. So our text box is probably going to change on change. We're going to use a text input, I should say. So in our components, I'm going to say new file search .tsx, and it's just going to be our text field. That's what it is. Text field and text field. And what it's going to do is on change is going to call a function. So for the stylings, we're going to set the background color to be this. Okay. And we should actually drop it into our container here. So we'll say search. And the border, okay, there we go, looking good. And then width is going to be 100%. Good. And then border radius is going to be 16. And then the margin, 45. looks pretty good. Yeah, looks pretty good. All right, cool. So we have that. Now what we want to do is on change, we want to call the API with whatever we have and return that back. Or do we want to set it so it's on search? Let's take a look at the API. So if I say he is going to return multiple results. Now, do we want to return multiple results or do we want to return a single result? We're kind of going off the assumption that we're just returning the first result from whatever we get. So I guess as much we can do that. We can just change the result every time. We can basically just do the query again each time we get a new letter. So what we want to do is we want to say const result, set result equals use state, and we're going to say nothing right now. We also are going to turn this into a client component. And then we're going to say in a use effect, or, actually, I think we might say const search for query. Might say fetch, and then we're gonna get query, and it's going to query this API with our query. It's gonna fetch from this API with our query, then response to response.json. Then we're going to take the data and we're going to set the results. Set result to data. And query is going to be string. String. Okay, there we go. Good. And again, if you're not using TypeScript, you don't have to worry about all that typing. But what we're going to do is pass in, we're going to pass this into the search. So we're going to say search for query. And this is going to go into our search. And then on change, we're going to call it. On change. Search for query. And we're going to call that. And then when that happens, I want to just console.log the result and see if it works. So let's go back to our app. Let's check out the console, refresh, and see if it works. Test. No definitions found. Oh, but then it did find it. So I was typing in the word test. So we've got TE, TES, it didn't find anything, but TST, it did find test. Okay, so that works. It would be a little bit annoying if we get an error in the middle. So maybe on submit, we send it. rather than on change. So let's make that update. Let's say on submit. Okay, that wouldn't work. Okay, on change. Or on change, here's what we do. We set const query set query. We'll say use state, query's null. Okay, and then I'm just going to wrap this in a box. And then I'm going to say button. I'm going to say component equals form, and then type equals submit. I'm going to say search. On change, we want on submit. Let's copy this. On change, on submit. On submit, we want to search for the query with query. On change, we want to set query to e.target.value. So let's see if that works now. And we'll fix that button in a second, that placement. All right, so if I go back again with test, and I search, it refreshes the page. On submit, oops. E.prevent default. Let's see if that works. No, it still refreshes the page. On click. On click. Let me get rid of this on submit. See if that works. Okay, perfect. That's how we're gonna do it. Awesome. So we'll do it through the on click on the button. We'll say on click, search for it. Let's do a little bit of something with this button just to make it look a little bit cleaner. We'll say display flex. I'm gonna say color black. I don't know, or border. Okay, there we go. Interesting. Okay, so then we want to probably move this over a little bit. Border radius, we'll probably make that the same there. Like that. Border radius like that. And then positions. Let's try relative. Yeah, we'll just have that there. Cool. So you can go ahead, search. And it'll search for the test. Perfect. All right, so now we can actually go ahead and display what we're trying to display here. So if we go into, I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to say results.tsx. I'm going to save that. And we are going to pass in our results to our result. Our results object. Results. And I'm just going to any type it for now because I'm going to need to actually grab the right type. From there. All right, so then let's create another box. And let's see what we're working with. So it's going to be an array. It's going to be, an array of word, which is a string, it's going to be an array of an object. Well, I guess the individual, right? And then we'll make it. So word, which is a string, phonetic. Actually, let me just go ahead and copy all of this. Yeah, there we go. Phonetic, which is also going to be a string. Phonetics, which is going to be an array of text, which is going to be a string. Audio, which is going to be a, audio, which is going to be a string. And that's it. And then another text string. Origin, origin string. Meanings. It's going to be an array of part of speech, which is also a string. And again, if you're not doing TypeScript, you can skip this little piece here. But if you are, we need to create this type to make our lives a little bit easier. Definition of a string. Example, string. Synonyms, an array. Antonyms, an array. Possibly of strings, though. Part of speech, going to be a string. Definition, array, definition. Again, just the kind of like annoying bit about TypeScript as far as the typing goes. But then when you do make a mistake, if you do make a mistake, you know, sometimes we're perfect, but if you're not perfect, you know, then finding it after. Okay, so actually I'm gonna, yeah, let me do that. Part of this should be type meaning. That's going to be an array of meaning. Okay, cool. And I'm actually going to go ahead and do one more thing. I'm going to create a new folder called types, just because this is kind of big. And I'll create, I'm going to create an index.ts that just has all of these types, so we can just export it from one file and make things a little bit easier. So we'll say export, export. Cool. That looks okay so far. So results is going to be type result. And we're going to import type result from types. There we go. Page type string is not. Oh yeah, so it's gonna ask me. It's gonna need me to put in this. Basically, a base. All right, so it's gonna be word. Whoops, word. Phonetic. Phonetics. Text, audio. Oh, that should be an object. Make that optional. Origin. Meanings. And then part of speech. Oops, drop this into an object. Part of speech, comma, definitions, definition, example. Oops, that. There we go. All right, cool. Looking pretty good. So that's just our like base type. All right, cool. Results. All right, we are missing a bunch of types. All right, to speed up this process, I'm just gonna set it to be any for now, but you shouldn't do that. You should properly type it. Okay, so yeah, we'll just skip the types for now. And then when we go back in here, okay, so yeah, now we're gonna get our results. So what we wanna do with our results is display them. So looking at our design here, we wanna display the word, the phonetic of the word, and then some ability to play it. So let's start with that top section there. So let's see, we're gonna have a typography element. And then we're gonna say, and for the results too, so we're gonna get maybe more than one answer. For the results, we wanna pass in a result, like the first result, like we only want one result. So for the results, we'll pass in the first result, and then it's gonna be result.word for our first result. I'm actually gonna change this to result. Change that to result. Result.word. Yeah, cool. Awesome thing about typing is now we get all these fun sort of fill in the blanks. Oh, looks like I'm getting an error. Undefined reading word. Okay, so then what we'll also do is say result does not equal null. result.word does not equal that. If true, display this. If true, display that. Sorry, else display null. There we go. Okay, cool. So yeah, if result.word exists, show it. If not, show null. If, okay, let's just say if result does not equal null, does not equal null, or undefined, or maybe I'll just set it to null to begin with. That might make more sense. Okay, let's change back to results. I know this is getting confusing, but it'll make sense. Results, const result equals results 0. First item. Okay. Cannot read property of null. You know what? Maybe I just need to do the call here. Result equals null. If true, else return results. There we go. All right, perfect. Good to go. All right, so we have our results. I think we can actually get rid of this because now we've done the check. There we go. Okay, cool. So when I go for test, awesome, I get the word. So that's what we're going for. So we're going to say result.word, and then the size, height is going to be 64. All right, so we'll say font size 4rem, font weight 600, and then we'll do another typography element, say typography, and we'll say it's going to be result.phonetic, I believe. Yep, that's it. And then we'll say font, what's the size of that? 24. Save that, and then the color is gonna be, oops, this color here. Grab that. Cool. And then the last thing, we want this audio source on the right hand side. So we're gonna say audio, controls, and then we're gonna say source equals, and I think the source is result dot phonetics dot, what was it? Let me check the dot audio. Phonetics dot breach. Phonetics dot audio. That's what we're gonna do. and we'll take out the question mark. All right.
Test.
All right.
Test.
So it's working. Cool, cool, cool. So then let's go ahead and just wrap these two in a box and wrap these three in a larger box. And we'll say display flex. Flex. This one is going to be flex direction column. This is the inner box. And then this one is going to be justify content space between. And then all of it's going to be align items center. Save that. And cool, looks pretty decent. I think we're going to roll with that for now. I think what we could do is change the button for the audio. That would make it look a little bit cleaner, but we can come back to that. I want to make sure that we get through the API and just have everything on the page. All right, so the next thing we have is our meanings. So in this, we have the just like the word itself. Now let's get to the meanings. So we'll say meanings. Just a little header so we can kind of separate them a little bit. Okay, and so it's like what type of word it is. So the meanings is part of speech definitions. Okay, so for each result, it might have multiple meanings. Okay, so we want to basically create a new file called meanings.tsx. And we want to loop through this and return whatever meaning is applicable, or multiple meanings if possible, if applicable to, if returned, I should say, not applicable, from the dictionary result. Okay, so it's going to return a meaning. I should rename, whatever. Interface meanings. Meaning is of type meaning. Cool. And I'll say meanings. And what we want to return is, let's see, the part of speech. So we'll say meaning dot part of speech, and then we want the definition. So looking back at our example here, we have part of speech, and then we have an array of definitions. So it's definition dot definition with an example, part of speech, exclamation, verb, noun. Okay, so the next piece is a list item. And that's going to be, meaning dot definitions brackets 0 dot definitions definition. Yeah, and that looks good. And then within this, it looks like typography as well as horizontal rule. I might fix up the style on that. And then we return the next meaning. And I'll just drop in also a little header here that says meaning. Okay, not too bad. This should be italicized and bolded. font weight and font size 1.5 rem. This should be this color, 75, 75, and 20. Oops. Okay. And then actually for meanings, we're just gonna say result dot meanings dot map. For each meaning, we want to go ahead and return meanings. And then the key is going to be meaning dot part of speech, because there should only be one for each part of speech in theory. Cool. And there we go. So meaning, a challenge, a trial, test, meaning, to challenge. Perfect. So that's pretty much working how we're expecting it. Let's fix up the styles a little bit. I'll add some margin. So let's say and then good, and then oops. Good. All right, that's pretty good. And then the last bit that we possibly want to add is the synonyms if they exist. So synonyms, if they exist, is we're going to use the same size as the meaning typography. And synonyms would be where it would be within meaning. Okay. So if it does exist, we should put it in meanings. So meaning, synonyms, electronic keyboard. And oh no, wait, hold on. Oh no, yeah, that's correct. This piece is the bit that needs to be a different color. And then color would be the purple. This one right here. this is only going to exist if meaning dot definition bracket 0 dot synonyms dot length dot length. Otherwise, dot length is greater than 0. Good. All right, awesome. So let's use the root keyboard and do that as a test and see if this is working as expected. So keyboard. Okay, looks to be working correctly. I'm not getting as many definitions as that we got here. Let me take a look. Let me console log the results and make sure we're getting everything as expected. Could also just check the network tab. Keyboard, meanings to part of speech noun. Okay, it has multiple definitions. A set of keys, a component of many instruments. So I think what we actually want to do then, in this case, is map through the meanings, map through the definitions. Yeah. So we'll say meaning dot definitions dot map for each definition. Return a list item with definition. Okay. So then, yeah, now we're getting all of them. Good. That looks better. What else doesn't compute? Synonyms. Oh, do I have it wrong? Meanings dot synonym. Meanings dot. I have it under definitions, but it's actually not. It's meanings dot synonyms. Is that correct? Meanings. Meanings dot. Let's see. Meaning dot definition. Definition. Dot map. Meaning dot map. So it really should be meanings. I wonder if it's going to complain if I make this an array. Yes, it will. Dot definition. Dot synonym. But do the definitions have so the definitions also have synonyms? That's the tricky bit. Okay, so it's a twofold problem. So it's actually that we have the meanings, and within the meanings there's a definition, but then there's also the synonym. Synonyms. And that is also an array. That's the confusion there. All right, so we'll say meaning dot synonyms. So if meanings dot synonyms oops, dot length is greater than 0, then also show that. Perfect. There we go. All right, so that looks pretty good. I think this is a pretty good like first implementation using the API. So we were able to query the API for whatever we're looking for. We were able to do a little basic design. I think you do a lot better with the design if you spend a few more minutes and really, put your all into it. But again, the point of this was really to work with a new API and see how far we could leverage it. As you can see, there's a lot that can be done with this API. You can show the different parts of speech. You can play the audio back, show different definitions of the same word. And so, yeah, there's really a lot you can do with this project in a really simple format. Again, you can set up the font switcher so you can switch the different types of fonts. You can try dark mode. So yeah, I would definitely recommend taking on this project and definitely expanding it because there's a lot of room to grow with this. So if you like this video, please hit that like button down below. If you're interested in seeing more content like this, feel free to subscribe. And if you want to see the rest of the videos in this challenge, check this playlist up here. I'll have them linked. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.